So we've got Owen Falk, our affiliate from Calgary, on, who is now doing interviews for our channel, and we have some surprise news coming up soon, but maybe we'll get into that in a little while. What an
Yeah,
exciting game!
that was quite the jam-packed game, Greg, for sure. I the last quarter especially kept me on my toes
Yeah.
as a fan.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. So I mean, what did you think was the big takeaway from the game?
I think a lot of it goes to Toronto is very. I saw this in an interview earlier. Shout out to Teddy Jenner as well from Coast to Coast, the NLL.
Yeah.
But he was saying how the only goals Calgary seemed to get past Rose were either on the power play or with the extra attacker.
Yeah, Rose is that kind of difference maker. I mean, it is crazy. People don't realize. I mean, it's insane, really. The having the goalie and what
Yeah,
they can do is just, yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
almost unfair to everybody else when your goalie, when you're playing against those guys, or like when Delbs is on fire, it's like, what do you do?
Yeah, and like we said before, it comes back to goaltending. Like that, the reason the scores were so low and that they ended up tying it is because the goalies were going tick for tack.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy. It really is. It makes it makes you wonder. You're like, wow. I mean, that one save here, that one save there, especially in this game. So
yeah,
Calgary kind of seems to have a tough time get going sometimes in the first quarter.
yeah. They do, but once they find their groove, they tend to be really amazing. Once they figure out what works against who.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when you look at that first quarter, they got down and ended up being 4-1. But like at the beginning, you see, Toronto scored, but then Calgary. This is usually a game of runs, but Calgary was able to answer quick, and then Toronto went on like a 6-goal run, and that was like, what's going on, guys?
Yeah, no, totally. And being the Roughneck fan I am, I was halfway through the second. I was like, "Oh my God, God!" Like it was funny because when they caught up, we're getting close to catching up in the second and third. I called it. I said, "Okay," with like 7 minutes left. I'm like, "Okay, they got to get 5 more goals by the time this quarter is finished." And frankly enough, somehow I like called it.
Yeah,
They ended up getting 5 more goals, and I'm like, what the heck did I just do?
yeah, 4 of them, right? They ended up with four.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got the stats up under us now. But yeah, so I mean,
yeah,
when you look at it, that was just crazy. And and it's from the usual suspects. You got Pace, Dickinson's been great for you guys stepping up, and
yeah,
Courier, no surprise there. Cornwall, I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
My buddy Jeff Cornwall, what an amazing goal on the breakaway.
yeah, yeah,
That was that was intense. Del Bianco passes all the way up the field to him, and he scores on the breakaway on Nick Rose.
yeah, and like those goals are such momentum goals. Like when your D
Yeah,
scores, and me and you have actually talked about this before. So Del Bianco, like his passing is really underrated. I
yeah.
mean,
Like
how many assists did he end up with?
he ended up with about 4 assists, and he was actually leading in assists for quite a bit in that game, actually.
Yeah, if you see, you can't ever see that stat. So I'm always super excited when you keep track of it. And I think it was you that shared the post that they donate and he gets matched for do you remember, or I'll have to find a
I,
screen grab
I
of it.
I have it actually right here on my stats. Yeah, yeah. Fun fact: Christian Del Bianco put $2,000 towards KidSport
Yes.
Calgary, which is an organization that helps provide sporting equipment here in Calgary to kids that may not be able to afford it.
Yeah, that's such an awesome thing they
Yeah,
do. I've got to
yeah.
yeah, I'll have to make sure I find that. find their information and get that in the next video. So when we release this, we'll have the tag on it. But that is such a cool thing that they do for those guys. And then so the third quarter, they were able to they kind of stopped um the momentum. They get the first goal, but Calgary's able to answer again with Courier. And it just
Yeah.
seems to be how it's going. If one brother scores, now we can expect the other brother to get on the board.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Josh got some assists, I believe.
I think he scored in the third quarter. Yeah, he in the third quarter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, no, that's because I find that part so cool that they're brothers and they both
Yeah.
scored and they're I don't know that transition part
Yeah.
of Calgary is such a huge part of
Yeah.
you
And
know
it's also worth noting if you look at Josh and Zach's goals side by side, the NLL actually, Tay Jenner actually put it out, but it's actually, they got two identical goals,
yeah
very identical goals. Like they both did a crease dive and got it
yeah it's crazy the
in.
way yeah it's absolutely insane the way they've been going and then I forgot even my whole plan here. Remember we were going to have you read the stats, do the quick clip, and then oh, I forgot all about it. So actually,
uh,
we'll do that now, and then I'll be able to
yeah,
cut
we'll
this
do the
in. So I'll wave
stats.
my hands. I'll let you. So go through the stats because the way you guys laid them out and with all those fun facts, I think is perfect. I'm gonna basically sit here quietly while you rip through your
Okay.
stats.
So it was 4-1 for Toronto after the first quarter. Calgary only goal in the first quarter was scored by Shane Simpson. Toronto, we had twice by Small, once on the power play, once by She Klug, and T. Greg also scored for Toronto.
Yep, that's
And
Keo is the first one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
He
then,
is. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but he's one of
oh,
those
yeah, no
like
worries.
he's always been one of my favorite like players to watch. He's one of those super emotional. He's in it. I think he was, he's
Oh,
hugely underrated. Once he got on,
yeah.
once he him and those guys get on fire and they're all on the same page, that Toronto team is hard to stop.
Yeah, no, totally. And then at the it was 7-5 at the half. Calgary got Tyler Pace to score, Hayden Dixon, and Zach Kerr, as we talked about, scored a very identical goal to his brother who had a later goal, which was a crease dive. And to beat out the buzzer at the half, Jeff Cornwall, with literally seconds left on the clock, got that breakaway goal that we talked about.
Yeah, and that is so like those goals like Del Bianco on the assist and
Yeah,
Cornwall scoring right after Courier, who Del Bianco gets the second assist on that. Yeah, that's such a huge impact
yeah,
part of the game.
yeah. Delves is such a point-to-point passing goalie too,
Yeah,
and creates those perfect transition opportunities for guys.
absolutely.
And then Calgary so ended up outscoring Toronto in the second quarter, 4-3. And then fourth quarter, Calgary stepped up a little bit. They got Dan Taylor, Jesse King, Jesse King again. Also worth noting, 3 out of 4 of the Calgary goals were on the power play in the fourth quarter.
Really, that is such a big
Sorry, with the extra man is what I meant to say.
right with the
Yeah,
it wasn't power
pulled
play. You're
goalie.
talking with the pulled goalie, but that is
Yeah,
such a big thing because like you can expect a team to get one. I mean, what does that say for the? I mean, the way that they were playing, the way they were zipping the ball around and control. That team was really in sync. It's unfortunate
yeah,
they ended up losing in overtime, but I mean, the way I don't know. I think if they can just stop having those slow starts, that's going to be such a big factor for them.
yeah, totally. And I knew Toronto was going to be tough going in too because, well, it's Toronto and the the East is pretty dominant out there from what you've told me.
Yeah, they're pretty good with Buffalo and the top teams are
Yeah,
all, and there's so much parity in this league. Like even Vancouver, who isn't off to the best start, or Vegas, they're both always like within a point or two of so
Yeah,
many of these games. Yeah, this
yeah,
this league has a ton of parity in it.
yeah. And then the final goal in overtime was actually scored by Keo again
Yeah,
from Toronto. From Toronto, yeah.
he's one of those clutch players. Now here we start to kind of get into some of my favorite things. You guys put together a list of like the top point getters, the top assist, and then the fun facts. The fun facts for me are really, I think, that was super cool.
Yeah, thank you. I take really pride in doing those ones. Top goal getters of the night were Jesse King for Calgary with 2 goals, and for Toronto, Corey Small with 4 goals of the night. And then fun fact as well, the captain Jesse King also had most shots of the night with 10 shots on net. Talk about leading by example, Greg.
Yeah, we've talked about that so many times. That's what he's best for. Is like he gets out there, he gets in the way, and when he's playing good, the team plays great.
Yeah. And then, like we said Delves put $2,000 towards kid sport with his assist for kids uh, program, and his season total now sits at $6,000 for them. I found that because the Calgary Roughnecks posted about it on their Twitter, so that was cool.
Yeah,
And then, who do you think got the most loose balls once again, Greg?
it's always him. I mean,
Yeah,
it's so crazy that he does like consistently. Zach
yeah,
Zach is
yeah.
always that guy. And then with the crease dive goal on top of it though, I mean, what a valuable player. And that's what I covered this game or this week when I was doing the Halifax and Rochester game. And like Withers for them, he's that guy. He plays defense. He got on the board
Yeah.
twice this week. But yeah, Zach Courier for Calgary. Ever since you've kind of got me watching the Calgary games now, I'm like, man, he's one of those underrated players in the league that he really gets after it.
Yeah, for sure. So Zach ended up with how many loose balls? 14 of the night
Yeah,
that night.
insane. So I've got the
Crazy.
Kids Sport Calgary Instagram
Yeah.
up on here now, so I will be following them. But yes, they are great organization, and it's so awesome to see them be a part of it. But now I got to get back up here so we can get some of that credit on the stats for Zach Courier. 14 loose balls, 1 goal, 1 assist.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is that guy. I mean,
Yeah.
the one caused turnover, and he's just picking things up. And the other thing I really noticed with Calgary though is they soak a lot of shots. Like their
Oh yeah.
defense is constantly in the way, soaking up the shots, and that's not a easy task. These guys are rifling the ball.
Yeah. And then T. Erlin for Toronto, Toronto with 13 loose balls of the night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And like, so you see Schreiber. I'm looking at Toronto stats now. They have,
Yeah.
he had 12 shots and only 2 goals.
Yeah.
That's a bad night for him. I mean, Delves was definitely good, and Calgary's defense does a good job of not letting the good shots get in. Albany does that too, where they play that high
Yeah.
pressure defense, and you kind of keep everybody to the outside.
Yeah. Speaking of shots, Calgary had 45 shots on Nick Rose.
How good
And
is he?
he was a wall. Heard the NLL Coast to Coast talking about it. He is just one of those goalies where if he's on a night, he's having a night. He's another amazing goalie for
Yeah.
sure.
And then when you look at the saves, really, so he only had one more save than Del Bianco, but unfortunately, one more save
Yeah.
was all he needed.
Yeah, exactly. And then Delbs had 42 shots on him for the whole night.
Yeah. He he is he he's so underrated with what he contributes to the offense, and that's really a team that shows like that next man up mentality of just getting after it, getting things done, and it, they're gonna have to find a way to win those close games. That I think is going to be the biggest problem, and that's where you kind of need, Jesse King to get the hat trick, or you kind of need somebody else to get like Tyler Pace. he had a great game with the 4 assists, but you kind of need him to
Yeah.
score a little bit more if you guys are going to, you know,
Yeah. And there also wasn't very many penalties actually this game either. So that's a bonus.
no, the refs kind of had the whistles in the pockets and they let the boys play. I mean, the
Yeah.
entire second quarter there wasn't a penalty called, and the fourth quarter there wasn't a penalty called. And actually, I didn't even realize that, but like just when you were watching the fourth quarter, you were just so glued, like you were like, "Oh my goodness, they're coming back! Oh my goodness, they're coming
Yeah.
back!" And it was just like, ah,
Yeah. Well, it's funny that like tying shot, I'm looking at the TV, being like, I can't look. I can't look. It's make or break. And then I'm like creaking through my fingers a little bit, and I'm like, wait, did that just go in? Like a little bit of disbelief there, right?
yeah, it's crazy. I tell you, these games, every game this week, and there was a lot of games this week, but
Yeah.
man, and that what an unfair advantage I think that is that some of these guys they end up playing the 2 games in the week because that is brutal on you, especially when you watch the way Calgary plays with that hard-nosed style and stepping in the way of the ball. I mean, could you imagine soaking a shot and then having to go back out there like and trying to run on your foot after you take one of those guys shooting it at 90 miles an hour off your foot?
Yeah, that would be really hard for sure. And I know Calgary actually has their own doubleheader coming up in February. So
Yeah, I know it. It blows my mind.
yeah, 2 games, 1 weekend.
Yeah. So now, if we're looking at the Western standings, so we see that the San Diego Seals, who their one loss of the year, do you happen to know who beat the San Diego Seals?
I do. It was Calgary. Their one loss was
Absolutely. So Calgary is their one loss, but San Diego's still first
yeah.
because they've got 5 wins. Saskatchewan, I tell you, I don't know if you've been watching Saskatchewan, but they have got some of their younger guys starting to step up, and Church is on fire this year. And I mean, there's so many guys you just, I know I'm forgetting to mention so many names, but
Yeah,
and then Colorado is Colorado.
yeah,
Panther City and
yeah,
Calgary are right there. And I tell you, Panther City didn't
yeah.
look like they were going to have a great beginning of the year, but they've really come on.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I actually had a buddy who was with Panther City. I think he's with Vegas now because he got picked up in the expansion draft again. Jeff Cornwall's brother, Travis Cornwall, who actually have his old Sass gloves.
Ooh,
Yeah, so he actually is a really amazing guy too.
yeah, there's a bunch of great guys on that Vegas team too, Eric Turner, and there's so many
Yeah,
great guys in this league. But like, if you're looking at that goals for and goals against stat, I mean, what really
yeah,
stands out to me is like Vancouver with that 111 goals. That's like, wow, how do you expect to, you know, kind of make it there? But I tell you,
yeah,
Saskatchewan only allowing 49 goals. I tell you, everybody. I don't know. I think Bouquet is very underrated too. He's
yeah.
quietly playing amazing.
Well, yeah, Greg, did you hear about all the franchise shakeup over in Vancouver? They're like trading left and right, and that franchise is going for a major rebuild right now.
Yeah, and it's definitely needed. They're struggling, and I mean,
Yeah,
whew, I'm glad I wouldn't be a part of that one. But
yeah, like a lot of crazy trades. Mitch Jones is out of there.
yeah, it's been and he was, he was playing great, so it's like, okay, who's going to start stepping up? But I mean,
Yeah,
when you have that, I don't know, it's slippery slope because you kind of that next guy up mentality is really good to have because when you if you have one of those teams where you rely on,
mhm,
like Albany fell trap to it last year. You had Joe
yeah,
Resetaris, and they would just kind of, if he didn't have a big night, it was like, okay, who else is scoring? And they would
yeah,
get a couple guys here and there, but that whole Calgary style of a few transition goals, and as long as the transition guys are getting their goals, which they obviously were
yeah,
this week, but
yeah. Calgary's guys were definitely on fire with that.
all right. So who is Calgary playing this week?
Uh,
Halifax. Woohoo!
in Halifax too,
In
actually.
Halifax. Oh man. So that's the game I just covered. They just beat Rochester. They are no joke. So they run
Yeah,
this I'm really curious to see how this is going to stand up. So one thing I really hit on is they play a two-man game a lot. Halifax does,
Yeah.
and as athletic as Calgary's defense is, and I mean Rochester's defense was good, but they could not keep up with it because they were getting beat down low, and when they weren't getting beat down low and the guy was sliding down, they were always throwing the backdoor feed. I should have that video up hopefully tonight.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning I'm going to put up hopefully this one and that one and
Yeah.
get it rolling. But I tell you, that's gonna be a good game.
Yeah, it will for sure be a good game. And the fact that Rochester has been doing so well and they managed to defeat Rochester.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I'm I'm honestly a bit worried. I'm not gonna lie on that one, but it should be a really good game tomorrow for sure.
I tell you, they had Hartley so angry he fought last week. I don't know if you saw that. The goalies,
No, I
yeah. So
didn't.
he got pulled and he was going off, and somebody from Halifax said something, and Hartley went after him in the bench.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Warren Hill had 43 saves. Warren Hill played amazing. So I mean, you guys, it's going to be a tough. It really. So they get a lot of transition too, though. They're a
Yeah.
big defense oriented team, but they have so much firepower up front. And Bo Hunter, his first year playing, and he got a hat trick last in the game. So it's like, woo baby.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that Thunderbirds
Should be
team.
yeah, Thunderbirds are no joke, especially when you got Jake Withers, who's one of the top face-off guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a top faceoff guy. And last week, yeah, he had two goals. I mean, what a game he had. I mean, I don't think, or he had
Yeah.
a goal and two assists. You can't expect him to quite be that, hot, but wow. He also had 14 loose balls.
Yeah, a buddy of mine actually tells me quite often, Scott, who you did an interview with, he refers every other face-off person to Jake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he's
he
that.
literally he's literally like watched Jake do face-offs. He's just a madman of a machine.
Yeah, there was one faceoff he lost, and he's so tenacious. He didn't even really lose it, but it was like a battle. And he gets down
Yeah,
and gets it, and the guy's full speed, and he just plows through him. What a strong, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, there's so much talent in this league. And Tarafinko, he's another one of their defensemen that he's such a good, and he gets up on transition a few times. Like I said, these teams are going to be matched really well. I think the
yeah,
stats breakdown is going to be amazing.
yeah, for sure on that game. And then for Toronto, they are facing. Who are they facing next week? This week, they're at home against New York.
The
Oh,
Riptide, who made my Albany Firewolves look not very good. I was not super happy with the way that game turned out. We went down and it was a great game, but they
yeah,
didn't play good. Dougie didn't play great, and he got pulled. And then Getty, who played the week before when Dougie was sick, played phenomenal, and he kind of struggled. It was like, oh boy,
yeah,
not a good, not a good time. But I, I really, like I said, I love seeing these cross conference because I think Calgary and Halifax, we're really going to see. I don't know. It's gonna be a great game. Everybody's so close.
yeah.
But what do you in the West? I mean, other than San Diego, it's wide open. You guys are right in
Yeah,
there.
yeah, no, the top five teams in the West right now are going to be constantly battling it out for the playoff spots for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the like the win loss in the standings,
Yeah,
it's so yeah. I mean, right now the Roughnecks are down in fifth, but they're one win away from being in second.
yeah,
If Saskatchewan loses this week in Colorado, um, they still have to make up a game. So yeah, it's just so crazy. It's such a tight.
yeah. It is a very tight race for sure.
I don't know if you've watched Georgia at all this year, but man, Georgia is struggling.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
huh?
they're 0-4.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I thought
For,
with
for Georgia, that's very unreal.
Yeah, when they so now they're kind of in a rebuilding year. I heard somebody talking about them maybe getting rid of Lyle Thompson. I think was it you
I
that
think
told me that last week?
uh yeah, I think there's been talks about possibly trading him away for sure.
Boy, I don't know. If you
Yeah.
one big thing for him though is he's that guy that everybody goes to see. So when you have like when he goes to Albany, like I know so many kids
Yeah.
that are like, "Okay, we're going to this game." And it's interesting to
Yeah,
have that.
no.
But all right, now let's get the announcement because this
All right.
you're actually that as long as you guys watch it tonight will be out probably before this, but we'll announce it
Yeah.
backwards.
Let's do it. Yeah. So I actually did an interview today with Curtis Dixon of the San Diego Seals, and that is a part of the new Lacrossing Barriers TV channel that's coming pretty quick here.
So we're gonna have a brand new channel with lacrossing
Yeah.
barriers. Owen is he's got a playlist now that's created on my channel that's called Owen Falk, and it's gonna be Owen interviewing all kinds of people. I can't
Yep.
wait for that. But then lacrossing barriers, I'm sure that you guys have
Yep.
all kinds of stuff. So that is one thing. Let's give everybody because a lot of people watch us on this, but they might not necessarily know what lacrossing barriers is. Just kind of give them a quick rundown of what the organization is.
Yeah. So Lacrossing Barriers is going to be a non for profit that me and Scott Godfrey and a whole bunch of other amazing people are starting up, where we teach lacrosse to marginalized communities, and we're mainly going to focus on adaptive lacrosse, which is a new thing we're developing, where someone in a wheelchair can play against someone able-bodied with adjusted rules accordingly.
So, yes, that's just some of the great things that you've done. So, we're going to, all right,
Yeah, for
bye,
sure.
everybody. Thanks so much for joining us this week. Uh,
Yeah.
Owen Falk, super official correspondent. He's now big time with his first NLL interview and more to come. So, couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.